is Sutiporn Sajapanroj. I am from the Institute for Innovative Learning, and today I'd like to share with you my experience about writing a reflection. And first of all, I like to talk to the problems that I found from using the writing reflection in my own class. What I found the problems is sometimes the students write it too short. There's no explanation, especially Thai students. They are not familiar with writing, so I cannot get anything from them. The second one, sometimes it's too long, it's unclear, and it's imprecise. They write everything that they can think of. They're not sure, or they maybe sometimes they don't know what to write, so they just write anything, any feeling. And sometimes I found that they copy their lecture note and send it to me. They just explain every single minutes in the lecture in my class and write every item that I talked about, and that's not what I expect. And lastly, sometimes I feel like they avoid to express their own feelings. Like they hesitate to show what they believe, and they just try to write only the fact and only the content that I taught them. So when I tell the student to write a reflection, I would explain to them first before I give them the assignment. And I will make sure that they understand that writing a reflection is just to record their response to past experience or the present experience. There is no specific format or theoretical framework for writing a reflection. It doesn't mean that they can write anything. They have to write something to me, and there are different kinds of reflections that I use. It's not just one kind. So basically, I would start off with this sentence so they feel relaxed to write something to me. And I will introduce to them first that what they have to write is the reflective writing. But later on, I would suggest them to be more critical to their own writing and would lead them to write the reflexive writing. So there are two kinds in from my experience that I think it's useful to help the student develop their writing skill from reflective to reflexive writing. Let me explain a little bit about the reflective writing that I use. I would suggest them to review what they have just learned in my class, and I want them to recall what they already knew from their past experience, maybe when they were young or in their last subjects or in the school before they come to the university for undergraduate or for graduate studies. I would like them to connect these two experiences and try to explain the connection, the relations between these two experiences. So when they explain their experience and understanding, it's just personal feelings and the development, personal development. Sometimes it's wrong and sometimes it's not the way I want them to understand, but I believe in that. I would tell them that there is no right or wrong answer for the reflective writing. They don't need theory to support their personal understanding. They don't need any reference. They just explain what they see and what they have learned. But then when they develop the reflective writing, maybe a couple of times, maybe I would ask them to write it 2 or 3 times. It's like a journal. I would see that they would lean into the place, like they extend their own learning space, and they get more chance to understand new information or ideas that I was trying to deliver to them. And the students have a chance to deepening their understanding. Sometimes the content is too complicated, especially about ethics, morals. So they would have more chance to get to think about it. And also, sometimes if they need to remember it, they can remember it easily. They can also gain insight into their own learning, like they have themselves, they can see themselves, they can see how they learn, they can see their actions and also their decisions, how they learn. What I feel that it's benefits to me, I feel like it's an opportunity for me to see how students improve. And this is the improvement of writing until they reach at some point, or when I want to evaluate them, I will use the reflexive writing. The reflexive writing, I would ask them to write in the third person, not the first person like the reflective writing. So they have to be more critical on their actions, their viewpoints, or their decisions. I would like them to recognize their values and beliefs as well. When they made a decision on something, or they have to deliberate their positions, that's when sometimes they need to refer to some theory or some background knowledge to provide a rationale of their positions. And this is what I call the reflexive writing. You will find some of these questions when you ask the student to write the reflections. They would usually ask what should they write. So you probably have to explain what you want them to write, the reflective one or the reflexive one. And I would suggest that you use the reflective writing for a couple of times, that they have a chance to keep that learning journal until you feel like this is where you need to evaluate them. So then you ask them to write a reflexive writing. How long should they write? This is what I usually got the questions. I would suggest 1 to 3 pages. 1 page is too short and there's no explanation about anything and I cannot catch anything mostly. They will just write the item. So 2 pages or 3 pages is good and not too much for me. Sometimes I have like 20, 30 students. They're too much reading for me and I cannot focus reading all of the reflections. And more than 3 pages is too long and sometimes the student didn't organize it very well. So I would suggest you tell them that the optimum number of the pages would be 2 or 3 pages. Deadlines. This important question that we ask, when should they submit? But I found that when we give the students too long time, they forgot everything they want to write. So I would ask them to submit within 3 days. And I would suggest them to write within 24 hours. After the class, if they need to write a reflective journal, they have to write it in 24 hours. They probably just record their voice and they come back to it. Or even just make a list what they want to write and they come back to it. That's fine too. But for reflexive writing, could be longer, maybe 7 days. They don't need to finish it within 3 days because they need to gain more critical thinking on that. So they need more time than 3 days. How many points? This is what you're gonna get. This question is what you will get definitely. Mostly for the reflective writing, I will not count the points. I will just count as pass or fail. And fail doesn't mean that I will fail them. I will just give them the feedback that, okay, next time when you write a reflective journal or reflective writing, please be more specific on something, or please provide me more information on your understanding about something, or please be precise, something like that. So I will have them improve their writing until they're ready. And then for the reflexive writing, I will give them some point, like 10 points or whatever, so they can have a chance to practice in writing, and understand the concepts and the content that we were talking about. I hope this helped. Thank you for listening, and you can find me at this email and line ID if you have questions. Thank you so much. See you.